This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello again and welcome back to Shake Them Ropes. I am thankful for all of you, and actually, I am Chris Novembrino. I'm joined once again, as always, not just by my cavalcade of dad jokes, but by Jeff Hawkins. Hi, Jeff.
Wait, you've taken Andrew Rich's gimmick?
Well, I'm going on a show here in the next few days. I was just getting ready with the dad jokes, prepping it up, loading it up here. I'm going to have another episode of Edit Talk a little later on after the show here. In this episode, we will be covering how to edit your friend to sound like they're laughing at your jokes so as to make you seem funnier. It's a little bit of an industry trick. Yeah, I think you guys might want to stay tuned for this.
I am thankful that after 16 years, the University of Virginia has finally beaten their in-state rival, Virginia Tech. It has been a long drought. I thought gloom and doom. It is Friday. I am watching Smackdown as we record this. Sheamus is back, kids. Are you excited? So afterglow of NXT TakeOver, I think I'm going to go into. We've kind of dropped our NWA power talk. I'm going to, let me lay this on you, Chris, because I've said this a few times on this show, and I want to see if you agree. AEW matches are like watching a jam band in concert.
Yeah.
It's the Bonnaroo of wrestling TV shows.
Yeah, I maybe that is what is not clicking with me more than anything. Is I have musical sensibilities that are like, how do we edit this song down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds or 2 minutes and 30? Like, I'm like, when I'm making my own music, I am sitting here and I have to justify pretty much every second beyond 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And what I'm not saying is that wrestling matches need to be 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That'd be crazy. But what I am saying is that, like, if you are of the modality that, like, you need purposeful action, every section of a song has to have a purpose, you're going to have one length generally, or one set of lengths generally. Whereas if you're of the sense that, you know, you got to really let the song breathe for a couple of minutes in order for people to really feel the groove, you're going to have a different sense. And some people like feeling the groove of a wrestling match. And I think I am someone who likes a match, like a song, to have a beginning, middle, and end, and have it kind of be purposeful.
You don't want 3 different endings and it lasting about 8 minutes too long than it should be?
No, like, Godspeed You Black Emperor conceptually does cool things sonically, but I don't sit down and listen to a full album of them ever.
Nice string cheese incident, little government mule. I'm a big fan of Traffic, so I mean, I like it, but it's like, man, every match you watch, it's like, God, they couldn't. I think they missed the ending, and they're trying to get around to it occasionally. I mean, I still love the energy.
There's a place for, like, bands like Can, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna get esoteric here, a little Can Tago Mago.
I have no idea who Can is, to be honest with you.
Oh, check them out. Check them out after the show. I think you will dig this. This is a good band, and they jam. Like, their thing is like, and it is, the jam is the thing. That's kind of the point. It's like with a guitar solo. When I was younger, I was showing a friend of mine my cuts from, like, 6-7 years ago. Every one of my guitar solos was too long and was very much in the vein of, I wanted to show you how great of a guitar player I am. And I wanted to showcase the best licks that I had at the moment, and there was usually at least 1 or 2 licks too many, or we went on for 4 to 8 measures too long in every one of those solos. And now I think much more in a kind of economical, sectional sort of thing. You don't need to show off everything. You want to have something to bring them back into the next song. You want to have something for the next track that you're going to do, because, you have so many licks and you don't want to blow them all in the one solo. I think that there's something analogous to wrestling in there.
Yeah, I would agree. WWE main roster is kind of in a belated silly season right now. We're going to be getting all the build-ups to TLC, which is a throwaway pay-per-view, to be honest with you. It's going to be a lot of garbage matches. And it's basically holding period until they have to start building the Royal Rumble. Basically NXT was there for the ratings, and that's what they've been going for lately, but they're going to be in a bit of a cooling down period for a little while, I think. Maybe not so much on television, but their next big show is in February in Portland. You have NXT UK, which isn't doing their next takeover until late January, but they're starting to build their thing. So we're kind of in a, as we like to say, they're moving pieces on the board, so to speak. It's not that, the television's not going to be good. It's just not going to have a lot of big time noteworthy things, in my opinion, unless we find something that we weren't expecting. Like last year, I believe it was the triple threat between Charlotte, Asuka, and Becky that really kind of, made us go, whoa, okay, we weren't kind of expecting that necessarily. But
yeah, this can be a little bit of a sneaky surprise season, because there was
they try
one year
things. They
where
tend to try things
at TLC one year they did a match between The Big Show and Daniel Bryan that was far better than it had any business being. Like, that was a match that I think most people, the outcome was sort of a foregone conclusion. You knew The Big Show was not going away with the title, but that was a very good match. That was a sneaky good match. I think the other thing we can get lulled into a sense of, nothing's really happening right now, is that it's not necessarily about title changes, although I suspect there will at least be some sort of title reapportioning with the Undisputed Era. They're going to have to do something kind of creative, given the injuries to Bobby Fish. But it's going to be less in the form of title changes and more the form of character changes. So what you're seeing with Dakota Kai, and this is the time of year where you do see, you were calling it pieces moving on the board. I think that's a good way of putting it, but also character changes. Remember Daniel Wyatt? This is when that angle started, actually.
Seth Rollins looks to be turning heel from Monday's
Raw.
Yeah,
I think that's accurate. Yeah.
But let's do a little news, and then we'll get into a little wrap-up, because I want to talk about just the perfection that was the Women's War Games angle from beginning to end. Because we have to give credit when we criticize as well. Mauro Ranallo was not on the Survivor Series broadcast. Mean tweets by Corey Graves. He also was not on Wednesday's NXT broadcast as well. Tom Phillips filling in for him there. I am starting to think this is now the second time something like this has happened with Mauro's bipolar disorder. And while being respectful of that, I could see a situation where WWE just decides we can't have this. Now, I understand if Mauro wants out completely, because look, WWE is for a wrestling company, it's an abusive situation already. I grew up when it was nothing but scumbags in the wrestling business, and most of those are holdovers from that time anyways. I just don't see any. I'm sure Mauro enjoys his job. I'm sure he enjoys NXT.
But there's got to be lots of little things that are mildly triggering. Just for example, characterizations. We were talking about, this is unrelated to Mauro, but 2 or 3 weeks ago on one of these shows, we were talking about, I forget who was even being characterized, but it was all about them being unstable and them being, kind of crazy. Was it Daniel Bryan, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your main event angle on Smackdown right now, and it's really kind of fetishizing mental instability in a way that I don't think Mauro Ranallo would ever fetishize.
Yeah, I just, it's one of those things where it's kind of obvious to me that Mauro needs free reign to be himself quite a bit, and especially when he was on the main roster and he had people in his ear yelling at him, he had coworkers yelling at him.
Yeah, I was going to say, JBL, I think, was probably one of the bigger culprits with that, from my understanding.
But I if he were to get his release and go to AEW and possibly replace Jim Ross, I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world, because I don't think, I think, for all of, and Mauro does have some faults as an announcer. Don't get me wrong. And
No. I want this, because the same people who have been very eager to identify all of the faults in Mauro Ranallo would be singing a very, very different tune if all of a sudden he was working for their favorite wrestling promotion. So I actually kind of want this paradigm.
Aunt Pam and Sasha are out in the ring. I'm kind of intrigued by this. And yeah, I'm recording this while SmackDown is going on, so that's how I know Sheamus is back.
Yeah, he's watching TV instead of listening to his
listening to
old
you.
friend Novembrino.
No,
yeah.
I know. It's one of those things where
My
I just
heart's
think
breaking.
I think Morrow's Tom Phillips wouldn't be the worst. He was pretty good this week, I thought. I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't want to be overly critical of Morrow's condition. And at the same time, I know that it's not.
This is not a great pairing.
It's not a great pairing.
At the end of the day, it's just not a great match. I understand why both parties are at the table. I appreciate wanting to make things work. I think Mauro is much better suited for tapings,
yes,
rather than having to do a
Live.
weekly schedule on the road constantly. I mean, there are a lot of people who are bipolar who just simply will wear down emotionally having to be on the road doing that level of impermanence. It's draining. There are some people who really thrive in that kind of transient nature, and there are other people who really thrive with a sense of permanence around them, and the road really kind of identifies which type of person you are. And I think Mauro, like, for example, NWA, and I like Joe Galli a lot, so I wouldn't say replace Joe Galli, but like if you use Mauro Ranallo to do tapings for NWA, or if Lucha Underground was still around, and he was doing tapings for Lucha Underground, those sorts of neither of those are perfect like concepts, but a taping scenario I think works much better for him than being on the road.
How hard is it to just come out with a memo to say, don't talk negatively about Mauro because of his condition? And then everybody has to abide
with
by
Graves, too, it's just unprofessional.
Yes.
I think what Graves was doing beyond everything else, I mean, we're having a discussion about Mauro's condition, and it did set off Mauro's condition, but what Graves did was snipey and petty.
It was snipey and petty, but you know what? I don't know if I don't buy his explanation that was all part of the brand versus brand stuff. I don't know that. Because to me,
I think that you can use that as a shield.
I think you can.
Bit.
No, I definitely look. I am open to both possibilities. I am open to the possibility that Corey Graves really sucks at Twitter because of some of the negative things he said.
He might just suck too.
Yeah.
I think there's decent evidence for either one of those cases. I don't know. I just don't think it was a good call. I mean, maybe leave other commentators out of it. Did he go after Phillips? Is there any evidence that he went after Tom Phillips?
He basically praised Nigel and Beth while slamming Mauro, which
also sort of undercuts the brand narrative too, because if you were going to slag the brand, you'd also have to slag Beth, who, let's also be honest, has a lot of vulnerabilities if you wanted to talk about weaknesses on commentary. In places that you could probably jab in a good-natured way. The problem for Graves is that the version of events that elapsed is not actually on his side with the narrative he's trying to spin here.
Chris, if I was to ask you who'd be the most unlikely person to come out and take out Sasha Banks and cut a promo on Bayley, who would you guess on the women's roster that person would be?
Sarah Logan.
Sarah Logan's on Raw, but thank you.
Hey, well, that was uncommon. You didn't see that coming.
No, I did not see that coming.
Dana Brooke?
If I gave you Lacey Evans,
would that
intrigue you?
We're still
I'm
trying
kind of
that,
intrigued by that. I'm watching this and going, what the hell? Okay, cool, fine, I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm of the opinion that this was just probably Corey had well, I don't know. Is he straight edge like Punk? I don't know. I thought he may have a drink or two, sits down, decides he's going to tweet a couple of snarky things while he's watching TakeOver, and just says, "Oh man, all those rap references, nice going," whatever, and just gets a little bit too into it. I'm just like, dude, they just need to make a mandate. Don't talk about Mauro. Don't bring up Mauro. Don't even say anything about the commentary on NXT if you are a corporate talent. Protect the brand. That's all I'm saying.
I think corporate Twitter accounts should have "Are you sure you want to send this tweet in a 30-second delay?"
Oh, boy. Yeah, so that happened. We don't know when he'll be back. I just know anytime Frank Shamrock decides he wants to pick a fight with whoever said it, can't be good because that's his broadcast partner from MMA. So you're just kind of, God, just Twitter fights. Social media has been
Graves Shamrock is what you're saying at Mania.
Been a bane on society. We're getting some goat imagery on the Firefly Funhouse, so they've started another one, Chris. They do another goat here. Okay, I was teasing this when we were talking before we started recording. There's an internet theory that I find awesome about the Fiend character, and here it is: that every character he attacks goes back to a previous incarnation of themselves. You had Finn Balor going back as the Prince. You have Seth Rollins going back to corporate, authority, Seth Rollins. And now you have Daniel Bryan going back to goat face, yes movement type of person. I find that an awesome, subtle type of thing that they could do, but I just don't think that that's it. I just think they're just going with ideas here.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool. And I think if, I'll put some meat on this bones, although I don't think it's true. I think it would be interesting if Bray Wyatt was somehow getting into the head of Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, and at some point it was going to result in a convergence of a stable of Bray Wyatt, Finn Balor, and Seth Rollins. And that was what, ultimately the new Firefly Funhouse was going to be. The new Wyatt family essentially is Rollins and Balor. That's actually kind of intriguing. It would be very contra to the way WWE likes to book factions, where they have one clear, strong person and two goobers. Again, as I started off here, I don't think that that's what's happening. I think that all of the fantasy books of The Fiend are great and fascinating and creative, and it would be great if WWE was writing the character like any of them, and they're not.
We have criticized, now it is time to praise. NXT War Games happened Saturday. We went to air the Friday beforehand, did our preview. I loved the show, but I thought that
was a great episode of Shake Them Ropes.
I thought the air was totally sucked out of the room, though, by how good that NXT Women's War Games match was. And let me put it this way: the entire War Games scenario was there to make Rhea Ripley a star and there to tell the story of Dakota Kai turning heel. Because
Shayna Baszler's a complete afterthought in that entire match.
A bit. You got to admit she is a bit, but I'll praise her as well, because I'm praising everybody who played a role in this entire thing. If you look at Dakota Kai's matches leading up to this, since her comeback, she's only lost to the women's tag team champions with Tegan Nox and to three other heels in the NXT War Games match. She lost to Bianca Belair, where we're going, well, what was the reason for that? She lost to Shayna Baszler, and she lost to Kaylee Ray in that one-on-one match. They beat Fight and Play to set up the tag team title match, and then they lost to Asuka and Kairi Sane. Okay, then you cut to the entire thing about her not being, she didn't make the cut on the team. Okay, that was great. We thought, okay, maybe that's going to lead to something, and then they move far away from it so that we don't even suspect it. Unfortunately, it was on the pre-show where they paid all this off, because on the pre-show, we see Mia Yim's been attacked, and God bless her. I felt bad for Mia Yim not being able to be involved in the match, but she played her role perfectly. So you can't diss it at all, because, I mean, she bumped hellaciously on that ladder match. I mean, she played her role to a hilt. And of course, so she was a bit weakened to be attacked.
And it was super clever booking, because then she could actually work hard during that match, because you know that the out is, she's actually in the War Games match. So the whole thing that we were talking about on that episode of like, oh, you got to protect him for the War Games match, really clever booking, because now you can actually have Mia Yim working during that ladder match.
So when Dakota Kai is offering to go in the ambulance with Mia Yim and she gets dragged out by Rhea Ripley, Chris, she's wearing sweatpants with the NWO logo up and down her leg. And I missed this the first time. I missed it. And because I'm just kind of like playing around on my phone. It's just the pre-show or whatever. And I watched that, and then God bless them. We get to the match, and Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai are all dolled up heavily by the Glam Squad as the Rockers. They let Dakota Kai out. You hear Tegan Nox say, "Go, go, go." Turns around and just gives a hellacious beating. And I loved this beating. I loved the viciousness. I loved the tearing off of the thing. I loved coming back. I love that she got so into it. I love when this happens because this happened to Bayley that first time that they teased a heel turn where she looked at Sasha and she says, "You ain't S." She started cussing out people in the ring. She shoves William Regal. I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I want out of a Dakota Kai heel turn. She was awesome. Tegan Nox, just the death bump by taking the header into the cage was awesome. And the coda to this during the match Wednesday when she comes out and she looks like she hasn't bathed in 3 days and she still has all the makeup on, and has all the hair. I go, this is awesome. I loved everything about this. Gonna give some credit to Kaylee Ray here. Kaylee Ray trolling the crowd with the table and putting it back and then going in there and just kicking Rhea Ripley in the face, number one. And number two, then just taking every sort of hellacious bump known to man. She was an absolute ragdoll in this match, and I loved it. Bianca Belair doing some power spots there. Shayna Baszler, you brought her up, but when she gets unlocked from the cage and she does that little skipping motion outside and just counting the number of people on each team on her fingers. What an absolute jerk. I loved it. I loved everything about this match. I loved that Candice LeRae had to be the scrappy underdog along with Rhea Ripley's power person to take on these 4 people. My only possible criticism of this match was the thought that 4 people couldn't take out 2, but they got around it with the handcuff thing, I think. What did you think of this match, Chris? And the angle in general?
I think that the War Games match format, to go back to what we were talking about earlier between tight songs versus jam bands, the problem with the War Games match format and why so many people have gotten stale on it is that before the match officially begins, there's about 20 minutes of jamming. That said, this match does a very nice job because there's so much story going on in that initial 20 minutes. It does a nice job making you actually emotionally invested in it. The Dakota Kai turn being really the crux of what we're building up to before the match officially begins. Totally awesome. Then we get into the match once it's officially begun, and everyone works really hard. Io Shirai doing that moonsault off the cage. I'm mad at myself for it. That is one of my all-time favorite moonsaults. Like it was just awesome. She's so unbelievably talented.
The moonsault, yeah. The running knee that she did with Bianca Belair, where she's just running and running and running and running and running, and you never think it's going to stop. That was a great spot. The craziness of, hey, you know what? Screw strategy. I'm going up into the War Games first. The hell with all of you. She was, they have to do it this way because you can't do War Games the old way where it's an old blood and guts kick, stomp thing. And I've learned...
No, that's the problem with the format. The problem with the format is that you need the first 20 minutes before the match, quote unquote, begins to have some sort of story occurring during it. And whenever they avoid that and go, we're just going to have, a traditional War Games match, it exposes the problem with the old War Games format.
I do have a little bit of an issue with all the plunder that's brought in. But it's part of the smoke and mirrors of the whole thing, I guess. Yeah,
I'm with you. I feel like you have to earn the plunder. Yeah. And in a lot of cases, these matches, like, certain feuds don't earn it. It kind of on the other hand, like, if it had been the Undisputed Era versus Imperium, I would have expected both of these factions to go, like, we're settling this once and for all. Let's get the weapons out. That would be a scenario for the plunder, whereas this didn't. It felt like, well, I'm supposed to grab a table, right? And even the whole Kaylee Ray joke, the whole Kaylee Ray heel joke that she was kind of playing on the audience is built around the convention that she's just expected to get a table.
Yeah, it's like, it's just, I hate that modern audiences, anytime somebody gets a chair or a kendo stick, starts chanting for tables automatically. It's a ridiculous It's a ridiculous trope. Yes, go kill yourself some more for my entertainment dollar, please.
We Want Blood doesn't have the syllabic mouthfeel that you need in order to really turn into a chant.
No, but it would make it more, Candice having a little bit of blood while she's being the underdog, trying to fight off 4 people, would make it that much more dramatic a little bit. That was a thought I had coming into it, but I mean, I know they don't like blood, so I'm fine with that. Well,
Candace showing up with a weapon and, kind of going to town on 4. This is where I thought the weapons are more justified if the babyface team goes and grabs them. And so the benefit of having 4-on-2 is that you can have a big heroic weapon spot where like a babyface dispatches momentarily, 3 or 4 of the baddies.
This is our chance to get even with these dastardly heels who have been beating us up 2-on-1. Well, now I'm here with a weapon in there. But every time,
the comeuppance spot that we've been building to.
Yeah, but every time I complain about weapons, I also remember that they brought in Paulie's giant cellular phone and a wrench one year to unhook the turnbuckles. So, I mean, plunder has been a part of War Games since its inception too. So Old Man Hawkins is just sometimes yelling at a
No
cloud.
one cares about the rules of professional wrestling anymore, Jeff.
Grab that tag rope. It's a 5 count for tag teams. Why does it turn into a tornado match every time? Thanks, JR. The rest of the matches, I think, kind of went down according to how we thought it would. The triple threat I thought was very, very good. The Riddle versus Finn Balor kind of went down as we thought it would as well. Although I thought maybe Finn might cheat a little bit harder to get that win to kind of protect Riddle a bit.
Yeah, I mean, also kind of this is the problem with the Finn character, especially after this week on NXT, is I think they've just tried to play this too cute by half.
Yeah, and then the men's War Games I thought was it was a little too choreographed, and sometimes it went for their detriment, like the whole
jam band
throwing Roddy through. They tried to do that spot where they were going to throw Roddy over the ropes into the other ring, and they missed, so he had to fly through the ring. But I think he caught his neck on one of the ropes and almost decapitated himself. You had a couple of spots there where, people are trying to get their balance and we're kind of waiting and, but it was a spot show. It was a stunt show. And the ending, with Project Ciampa through the tables and then having to wrestle the next day. I mean, I'm never going to diss that because it's impressive to the resilience of the guys. I mean, look, they're going to go bigger and bigger on stunts until somebody really gets hurt. And, you kind of have to say with caution that you admire that out of them.
It's fine to say that until somebody gets hurt, and it's the person that you really like watching week in, week out, I guess.
Did you watch any of the Survivor Series?
I did. I did watch a little bit of the Survivor Series.
My notes on Survivor Series are kind of in line with just my cynical views on WWE booking at times. In terms of their main audience is over 50, but they book for you like you're 8 and you don't understand things. So they never quite put the rocket on people they want to put the rocket on. They kind of give them that golly gee, you're a good fella. Here's a nice medium-sized push, but you don't get the full push. Like Rhea Ripley was a damn rock star in that match. And then they have Candice and Io come out to run interference for her. These two had just gone at each other the night previous, but for brand supremacy, you heel Candice LeRae to help Rhea Ripley win a match. I don't know. I just think if you like Rhea Ripley, you have her go over Sasha Banks. That's all you have to do. It's a USA show. It's not a network show anymore.
And it's
so
a main bizarre
roster
to try to protect Sasha because, I mean, the entire weekend really felt like the Rhea Ripley coming out party. We're pushing Rhea Ripley now. That's what this whole weekend was really designed to do.
So don't protect Sasha. She can take it. She's a big
enough
star.
And like there's no reflective acquired glory that Io or Candice gets for being there in that spot. All it does is subtract from Rhea.
Yeah, same with the Keith Lee thing. I mean, I get it. I thought, especially after eliminating Walter that quick, and their thinking is, well, we got stuff for him later. Same with Tony Storm. Matt Riddle gets a roll up on Orton, and that's supposed to be a big deal, I guess. Getting a roll up on a guy instead of hitting a move and pinning him clean.
I think it might be a big deal in the sense that maybe Orton shows up down in NXT.
Oh,
and
that's
that sets
not
up
gonna
the.
happen. That's
It will
not
if the money is right, Randy Orton will go anywhere.
Okay, that's true. That part's true, and he just signed for a big deal, so maybe he'll do the kid a favor. I just, and then the whole handshake after defeat thing, and you're kind of like, look, if you want to make Keith Lee a big star, just put him over Roman. Just do that. And then see what happens on Wednesday to the ratings when they all come in. And it's just it's that we want to make him a star, but we don't want to make him too big of a star just yet because we're not ready for him. That kind of thing. And then the topper of all that was the women's three-way, which was such a poorly planned match given that crowd, but that crowd wasn't going to give them anything anyways. And that's made me sad because I love all three of those performers, as I've said before. But you have her beat Bayley. Bayley gets shoved to the side. Becky gets up and in the middle of Shayna's celebration beats her up, and we end with Becky's music. Why? Shayna got the win. Let her have the moment. But no, we got to give Becky her heat back on the same show 2 minutes later. And it just...
Where we took it away from Bayley when really the person who needs quote-unquote their heat back is Bayley, who just got beat. In this entire build-up to this match, Bayley kept coming up short.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a ridiculous thinking. I mean, the matches themselves were okay. I mean, I loved the Pete Dunne, Adam Cole match. I thought that was that
was a really good match.
I mean, NXT stole this show all night. Most of the fans were behind them too. I mean, it was a good showing for everybody on that brand. It drove me nuts that they put the tag team title match on the pre-show, along with two other matches that just didn't matter. They had a 205 Live and they had a battle royal between the tag teams. But it's just one of those things where it's too cute by half. You can see the internal thinking on the screen if you have a double-digit IQ. Where it's look, we're going to give them the rub. We're just not going to give this person too much of the rub right now because, we don't want to put them over real stars.
It's the whole NXT wins 4-2-1. Like, they're going to win, and they're going to win by getting a majority of the matches won, but they'll also lose 3 matches because reasons.
Well, that, and also, God bless them, Roman comes out before we went to tape. We went to tape about 5:30 Pacific time. 5 p.m. Pacific time, Roman comes out, cuts a promo, and somebody started an NXT chant, and he goes, it doesn't matter, we're all WWE universe anyways. It's like, what's the point of watching this damn thing if you're just going to dismiss everything you just did in the previous weekend?
That completely neuters whatever contrived brand war you would hope to have at some point, because here's the thing. People aren't going to go, do you remember that Roman Reigns promo that he did on Friday, November 29th, 2019? You remember when he said in front of the audience, we're all WWE anyways? It's not going to be cited like that. But it will be a subconscious mood that viewers have now of oh, this isn't they're not actually really. There's no real beef between these brands, and it was a tough sell anyways. It wasn't hard to buy to begin with, but Roman kind of just driving the nail into the coffin.
I could see Vince in the 2 weeks between pay-per-views that this was, or 3 weeks or whatever it was. Look, this brand stuff is important. You guys are in competition with one another. It's really a corporate thing, and you guys should have brand pride and take pride in yourself, blah, blah, blah. And then on Monday, somebody goes, yeah, brand pride. And Vince just listens and goes, what are you, an idiot? This stuff's all fake. And you just go, wait, how?
There's only one brand. There's the WWE.
Yeah,
you all
stupid.
work for
Why
me.
Are you an idiot for buying into that thing? You dumbass. Remember the corporate picnic metaphor? It's yeah, man, accounting really had a good showing there. You idiot, we're all the same corporation.
No, it's accounting taking the baseball game way too seriously and then going what do we win? And they're not anything. This is just a game. And you guys trampled us, but then also celebrated really viciously after you did so.
Yeah. I watched that. I went, wow, we're just going to dismiss. Moving on. That's what it is. Anytime you hear a logical through line or plot line dropped, it's always moving on. First days every day is your first day. You're in the WWE. You gotta do that.
They literally say moving on.
Yeah, they do.
That will be the way they segue to a different segment.
Yeah.
They don't hang on stuff. They don't ruminate on, like, what do you think that means? And then there's no time to fully consider it or whatever at this particular moment.
Yeah, somebody's been stretching out with like a neck brace and he's giving a thumbs up because he's been debilitated, possibly crippled. Moving on, Charlie Caruso's in the back to talk to Mojo Rawley. And you're just like, wait, what? Are we not going to give a gravitas to the fact that somebody was almost crippled on your show?
I don't care what era it is. These are the sorts of things that actually should matter. Otherwise, they shouldn't be plot points.
Exactly. It's like, Herman Melville's writing Moby Dick and he just goes, all this stuff about whaling. Is that really integral to the plot? A turtle crossing the road in the Grapes of Wrath? Who needs that metaphor? Let's just get to the Jodes. Come on. Oh, God. So we had this NXT show. We have NXT UK to briefly go over. We have not watched 205 Live, but it looks to have good matches, even though they may not mean much. Because it's going to be our boy, Raul Mendoza, and Arya Davari, and then I believe the other match is... I gotta go to Twitter. Vamp.
All right, guys, it's time for fantasy talk here. Jeff didn't want it. I renamed the team from Siakam rocking in the free world to Get Dinwiddie with it earlier tonight because we are now in first place and we need a new pun. All right.
And the other match is Jack Gallagher and Angel Garza, which would be pretty good.
That'd be a good match.
Who is this with Shinsuke?
Sami Zayn, probably.
Well, Sami Zayn's talking, but there's another guy. That's Cesaro. That's Cesaro and glasses.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll do NXT UK first since I watched it. Give me a rundown. I'll give you some opinions.
Okay, I'll give you a rundown here. So let's see. Piper Niven pins Ginny with Jazzy Gabbard after a Michinoku driver in 7 minutes and 30 seconds. What'd you think about this one?
Good little match. Ginny is kind of, I love Ginny, but she is very slight. She so reminds me of Sasha Banks in that she does things and that someday she's going to probably be killed because of her frail, thin thing. But everything they do is great. That Ginny Jazzy tandem. And then we got the reemergence of Toni Storm on the UK brand, which is a shock to me because I thought the weeks off what meant she was going to be re-debuting on NXT, the main brand, and it kills.
But then she was never involved in the takeover match, and I think that was kind of our first hint that maybe they had different plans, especially with the Rhea Ripley mega push.
Well, the other thing that was weird is she gets introduced with absolutely very little fanfare on the Smackdown as part of Team NXT for the women. She kind of gets there was no big deal to her in the match. She kind of gets dismissed, kind of like Walter, which makes you think, okay, we have plans for her and we want to protect her, so let's get her out quick, which makes little sense on both fronts that you don't make a big deal of Toni Storm.
I wonder if plans changed. I wonder if there are some people who like the idea of bigger plans for her, and then she got to the main roster, and other people did not like those bigger plans. They
didn't want Rhea overshadowed.
Yeah,
okay.
They saw something in Rhea that they really liked, and Tony's fine.
Rhea's very good too. I think Toni Storm's
better
wrestler.
I think Tony's a better wrestler, but I think Rhea's got a. WWE's not about being a great wrestler.
Yes,
it's about being a great act.
Thank you, Jeff. God, my words are coming back to attack me.
Yeah, but I say them louder and also better with more sex appeal.
What's next, Chris?
After that, Eddie Dennis had a match against a person named Dryce Gordon. Tell me about Dryce.
Debut. And again, it's an NXT debut, so the guy has to get far more offense than he should. You'll be proud of Eddie Dennis. He was wearing actual wrestling gear.
Oh, is he? He's actually dressed up like a grown-up now?
Yeah, the tights are a little baggy, but they're not basketball baggy. He didn't look half bad. I was kind of asking for your I was going to ask for your opinion on that, but you didn't see him. But
no, but I will take a look at this retailered Eddie Dennis. I'm intrigued now.
He doesn't look like he's changed and at a YMCA. So no, I think this is an upgrade.
All right, now I need you to break down this Noam Dar and Ashton Smith match. On the Bockwinkel scale, where would you rank it?
Oh, God. Noam Dar wins. Ashton, I mean, it's a back and forth between a guy we don't care about and Noam Dar. I don't know if this is on your rundown of matches, but I think before this we had a Joseph Connor promo. Chris?
It's going to be a triple threat between Connors, Ligero, and Travis Banks for the Who Cares title of the world.
Yes! I was like watching this going, oh, Novembrino better have watched this show. He better
I will tell you what, I'm going to be so fake into that match next week, guys. Like, man, I am going to be working hard when I am calling that match on this show.
And I believe the stipulation, because they were talking about it, is the winner will go on and have a match at TakeOver Blackpool 2.
Hell yeah. They will.
Are you ready?
Yeah, it better be the main event, and it better be 40 minutes of Joseph Connors. Let me ask you this. Is it possible for two people to win this match?
Is it possible for no people to win this match? Can
no?
All three?
How about all three? Can we get all three into the main event and TakeOver?
Can they all pin like each other, and then we get them into like a fatal 4-way against Jordan Devlin, who beats them all?
A triple backslide where they all pin themselves.
Yes, there we go. So there are no winners and there are no losers. There's just
and they're all going to TakeOver.
Yes, there we go.
Hell yeah. This is a good match. Imperium, break this down for me. Imperium versus Gallus with Ilya Dragunov. What do we think about this?
I enjoyed the hell out of this. I really did, because I love Imperium, and I think it's fascinating to watch Gallus and Babyface fire. It really was. They were cheering on Ilya Dragunov when they were getting the heat on him, slapping the turnbuckle. Joe Coffey comes in against Walter, does power moves. This was a fun little thing, and then it breaks down into Bedlam. So nobody gets beat. But this was fun for what it was. I'd recommend anybody who kind of watch this, because this is like big.
This is a fun feud.
These guys beating each other up. I'm down with that, man.
It's a good faction war.
Look, I'm not the biggest fan of the Coffey brothers and Wolfgang in the world, but they're serving their role here. It's fine. I don't have a lot of love for Joe Coffey and Walter as a feud, but
I have recently become pro Gallus, as we have publicly been made aware of, and I think that for a brand that does have a lot of sort of flagging programs, I just like looking at the card on paper this week here, Piper Niven, the Ginny and Jazzy Gabbard thing's fine, but you actually have to get there at some point, and, this division's not setting the world on fire. Eddie Dennis getting rebooted, okay. Noam Dar, okay. But Imperium versus Gallus is actually a fun angle that is worth watching, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they're going back to Tony Storm and Kaylee Ray, because Kaylee Ray came out and slapped Piper, and Kaylee Ray has grown on me out of this War Games feud. She really has. I never really saw a lot in her character coming in, and then she did the feud with Tony, and that was getting to be okay, but she's becoming more of a Weasley heel. The thing that I love about Gallus, though, and I think this is also why people cheer on Dakota Kai when she turns heel, and people cheered Bayley and even Becky Lynch when they turned heel. I think we just want to see range out of performers, and it's nice to see something different. And watching Gallus play, cheering baby faces, getting the crowd fired up when they've been heels this entire time for the most part. I mean, look, I think eventually this story ends with Gallus beating the hell out of Dragunov. But
yeah, I think that's how they get back to being.
That's how they get
again.
back there. But while you're watching this, it's kind of like watching, like when Arn and Flair would be baby faces against J-Tex, and then they eventually turn on Sting. It's kind of like watching that.
Or whenever Arn would come out and be the unlikely tag team partner of somebody
Rhodes,
tonight.
Before
or Lex Luger, whoever it was. Yeah, like the upper mid-card babyface. You're like, Arn Anderson, really? How's that going to work? But this is kind of fun. It's like having Magneto on the X-Men team tonight.
Yeah. There you go. That's a perfect analogy. Watching the guy who's always been kind of the stoic, cranky, sullen villain, all of a sudden he's the hero, and you're like, well, that's interesting. That's different. We're getting to see a different side. He seems to be enjoying palling around with the Beast and Cyclops and everybody else. Yeah, I'm down with a good redemption story for a short time, and then it becomes the Scorpion and the Frog, and it's like, you knew who I was when you made this deal, kind of thing.
Right, yeah. You should never have taken your guard down, that sort of thing, and that's fine, because I think coming out of this, if you're talking Joe Coffey versus Ilya Dragunov, that's a fun feud. So it's a really natural way to spin out of this program.
I still don't know what to make of Ilya Dragunov, because
I don't love it, but it's people are connecting with it, and I don't have to like something to say that it's working. You know what I mean?
Sticking the chest out like he's a big man. You're just like looking at him going, you're like $185, dude. What are you doing?
I don't get the character. Is the character delusional?
Like, I don't know that either, yeah.
Yeah, that's the part I actually legitimately have a hard time. If I had to explain,
it's like, what
is Ilya Dragunov doing and like why is he doing it? I don't know that I can do that still.
It's like, was he the Dolph Lundgren character in Rocky IV and just the drugs didn't kick in? So he's still just a scrawny guy, but mentally he thinks he's a Russian superbody.
Super secret Soviet drugs.
He never got the super serum, but part of it went to his brain as opposed to his muscles. So he thinks he's a Superman and he has the red eyes. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear Dragunov's backstory other than he's just this dude who takes on far more than he can chew. And if that's his character, fine. I want to hear about that too. You've shown me, now tell me something. But and also just Nigel has been killing it on this show and NXT when he's with Phillips. He and Phillips are fantastic, I think.
Yeah, and underproduced Tom Phillips does so much better.
Sneaky sense of humor.
Yep.
Sneaky needles Nigel a bit, and Nigel then comes back at Tom hard to the point where Tom goes, if I say something, I'm going to be fired. So I'm fine with that. That's cool.
I enjoy listening to Tom on these B shows, and from my old line of work, one of the things I always notice is that Tom is just much, much more confident not having someone in his ear, and you can hear it in his voice.
Let's do a little NXT and go home.
Okay. This week on NXT Live, we had, where shall we begin?
At the beginning.
Well, I know. I want to begin at the beginning. That's great. So everyone comes out to celebrate NXT winning. The Slipknot is blasting. We are cranking the Slipknot. It is 1998 all over again. Everyone's out there. They are not your kind, but they are NXT. And then the Undisputed Era comes out and says, no, in fact, you are not our kind. We are the Undisputed Era, and we're the ones responsible for NXT being really awesome. Like, the party part of this it goes back to what you were saying before about, like, I mean, the stakes felt non-existent. So they have this big party. And then what? Like, what did it mean? It didn't mean shit.
Why not just buy the rights to Sister Sledge, We Are Family, and just have them all dance in T-shirts?
Or celebrate good times by Kool and the Gang, Yeah, like that. Everyone comes out on stage. They're all clapping. Yeah, I mean, boy, it was silly. More than anything, it was silly to see all these people feigning like this celebration was because they were about to get a thing. Yeah,
and they got no thing. Although
there was no MacGuffin to get here.
I did enjoy. God, I enjoy cameos as much as the next person, but damn it, I am ready for a couple of these managers who have been on the Largo tour to get some TV time. I'm waiting for
Malcolm Bivens.
Malcolm Bivens, you got a shot of him. You got a shot of DJZ, whatever his name is. Robert Strauss, I believe, is the name he's going by. You got a lot of the red shirts from NXT that you rarely see. It's one of those things where it's like, dude, you got all these guys on the Vine. When are we going to see these people? When are we going to see Deonna Purrazzo again? When are we going to see Chelsea Green again? Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things. And then the Undisputed, hey, cut the music. We need to take our victory lap, which is cool.
I mean, that makes, like, that at least brings more sense to the scene of the Undisputeds are still, like, World League jerks and don't view themselves as part of this brand or whatever. But again, it undercuts everyone else who is a babyface on any of those teams in Survivor Series.
Yeah, and so that brings us to the tag after, Ciampa cuts a promo on both Finn Balor, who comes out, and
he's
Adam
playing a little
Cole.
bit of a locker room leader here.
Get a tag team match between
Keith Lee and Dominic Dijakovic
versus at first Fish and O'Reilly. Here is where my old school sensibilities start to weep a bit, Chris, because poor Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish took a shot on his bad knee in the War Games match, which meant he was already hobbled, and then he gets concussed like 2 minutes into this match. So we come back from commercial, and Roddy is in street clothes wrestling because they had to make a last-minute calculation. Because, of course, there can't be a guy who gets hurt in a match and work around it. Because we have
or
all this...
couldn't just have the heels get a count-out loss and be totally fine with that because they're heels. They don't care. They just want to hang on to the titles.
We have plans, and we have set spots we need to do, and we have choreography.
And we don't know how to write around this.
And we can't call it on the fly. So, yeah, to me, it's always one of those things when somebody gets hurt, I'm like, well, that's the point of a wrestling match half the time is for people to get hurt and then to beat your opponent. So, just...
If anything, this should be a more common feature in angles and in match booking.
Yeah, there was no way around. There was no way around this. I mean, they tried to explain it with the Freebird rule stuff, but that only applies to in the beginning. I mean, Roddy looked a little ridiculous, but given the point, I mean, he filled in well. It's just one of those things where you go, just go home and do something else. Just go home and book a match for later or something. You got a guy that's hurt. Don't break the fourth wall by going, okay, we need to somehow rebook this match somehow. And how do we logically get it over on commentary? Because you're watching this.
What I would have done is I would have had... Here's how I would have booked this. I would have had O'Reilly working on his own, but Cole and Roddy are now ringside cheering on their boy in a handicap match and furiously cheating to get O'Reilly the win. And then have Nigel on commentary put it over as O'Reilly heroically defending the title in a 2-on-1 match situation, like with the furious cheating. There's so many creative on your feet ways of getting out of this match, especially given the luxury of a commercial break.
Yeah, no, I would agree. But again, it wasn't really a commercial type thing. It was the picture-in-picture type commercial.
Yeah, but that's still like a stall spot of sorts.
It's killing.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. On both brands, it's got to go. I get why you're doing it money-wise, but like it completely destroys the entire match. It sucks me out of it. Like the second that little split happens, I'm like, it's like my brain goes, nope, I'm not watching a fight anymore, and I'm gone. The NBA does that with free throws, but I'm barely watching during the free throws anyways.
Yeah. Free throws aren't a part of the game.
They are, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to just kind of like turn your head to the side while like a 30-second commercial plays while Isaiah Thomas is standing at the line getting ready to shoot a free throw for Washington. It's completely different when it's in the middle of like a tag team title match or something.
Next up
is... Oh, I was stepping away. I thought you were going to say something else. Mansoor defeats Shane Thorne. I played a game this week. This is a fun game. I want you to play this at home. Close your eyes when you're watching some of these B shows and see if you can tell who the wrestler is coming out from the curtain by the theme song that is playing. It is harder than you might think, and it should not be that hard of a game. But I was able to pass this game with Shane Thorne, which I was mildly impressed with my own skills on, because, boy, Shane Thorne has a theme that you cannot remember, and they painted this as a must-win situation for Shane Thorne on commentary. At one point, Tom Phillips goes, "Nigel, wouldn't you say this is must-win for Shane Thorne?" And Nigel's like, "Oh, I'd say so." And then Shane Thorne loses this match.
Well, I mean, Shane Thorne also.
I don't care about Shane Thorne. I just think it's dumb commentary to raise the stakes for someone, and no one's going to remember that Mansoor won in a clutch situation. They're just going to remember that Shane Thorne choked.
Yeah, and Shane Thorne is... Look, he's been dead since Nick Miller went... Or is he Nick Miller? I don't remember these.
No, he's Shane Thorne.
I know. I just can't remember.
Shane Thorne can't be. What he should have been is a Forgotten Son, though. He could have started Forgotten Sons Australia.
You know who
and
he is?
Joined in. Who?
He's Australian Joseph Connors.
Oh, he kind of is though.
Yeah.
Maybe you could pair him with Danny Burch now. They can make a tag team of
now that
the Forgotten
probably
Sons.
gone and doing indies against his contract, I think.
Yeah, Forgotten Sons Transatlantic.
There you. The Australian club. Yes. Good Lord. I wouldn't mind seeing him and Birch. I mean, if we're going to put Birch with somebody, I mean, look.
No, honestly, that wouldn't be a bad nondescript
was
heel
a better
tag
half
team.
of TM61 anyways.
Yes,
so, yeah.
no, he's a good. They're both good tag wrestlers too. What would be good about this team is the first week there would be no expectations from the audience. So if Thorne and Birch have some gelled together spots, and they're both really good as tag team guys, they had some gelled together spots they could get over very quickly, and you can reheat Thorne. But I completely agree with you. As a singles act, Thorne is dead. That's probably true with Birch too. I think they've just too many times around the past with him. And with Mansoor, a nice win. They're putting it over as a big time thing. They still very much have plans for old Mansoor. It'll be interesting to see how those work.
Birch is firmly in that Pez Watley. He's not the guy who's going to get beat. He's going to get some offense in, but eventually he's going to lose.
Yeah.
Type of guy. So yeah, I would love to see that tag team. If Lorcan's not coming back, and I want Lorcan to come back because I like Oney Lorcan, but Oney Lorcan has a independent mindset, and I'm not going to fault that either, man. I mean, he wants to work the independents and be an independent wrestler as opposed to being stuck here in WWE, doing good matches but not getting used and not being made a star. So I am fine if he decides to leave, but I wouldn't mind him coming back. But if he's not coming back, Shane Thorne wouldn't be the worst replacement in the world on that team. You're exactly right.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So let's go to Candice LeRae versus Dakota Kai.
Already mentioned, I thought Dakota Kai looking like she hadn't slept since War Games was an awesome look because she still had the glam makeup on. I just thought this went a little too long to end it with the knee brace shot. The knee brace shot should have come a little quicker, I think.
Yeah, no, I'll go a little further. I think that Candice should have been House of Fire absolutely enraged. The whole I'm so upset about Tegan Knox stuff is kind of contrived, but if you're going to go that angle, if that's the story you want to tell, then Candice LeRae needs to just be like, Dakota Kai was a snake, and she stabbed her whole team in the back, and honestly, Candice should be the one saying, and you know what? I think it's her who attacked Mia Yim. I think I know exactly who attacked Mia Yim. Like that, Candice LeRae needs to be a more active participant in this story, and she needed to be more fired up in this match.
I'll posit something to you. I'll go with, okay, I liked the promo. I really did. I liked her promo before this match. I thought it was really good. Okay, Dakota comes out, shows the knee brace. Candice sees this, goes, gets a chair, but doesn't use it because Dakota eventually relents on the knee brace, puts it down in her corner. Candice puts down the chair. Okay, we're going to have a match, but I just want to let you know I'm mad. Candice comes out, House of Fire, beats on Dakota to the point where, referee steps in after a couple of 4 counts and says, hey, I'm going to DQ you. Dakota Kai grabs knee brace, clocks Candice, DQ. That's all you need to do right there.
Yeah, no, this didn't need to be a match.
Yeah.
I think the mistake in this match was making it wrestling, whereas this needs to just be rage.
Because you gave Candice such a shine on both the War Games and the Survivor Series match that you didn't want to kill that shine, and I think this kind of did in some ways.
She needs to be the moral authority too. They're trying to I get it, we're mega pushing Rhea Ripley here, but trying to have Rhea Ripley also do the best friend to everyone moral authority thing, I think, is just a bridge too far for Rhea Ripley. She just needs to be cool. Candice needs to be the moral authority of the women's division, and Rhea is cool. Candice is the responsible one who is less cool, but still cool, but more responsible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of a yin and yang.
I'm going to give you a terrible analogy. Because
I love terrible analogies. Let's do it.
Rhea Ripley is Fonzie. Candice LeRae is Ron Howard's character, Richie Cunningham.
Richie Cunningham. Yeah, I'm into that.
Okay, there you go.
Wasn't Potsy kind of cool? But not that cool?
Potsy was okay. He was kind of a good-looking man. I was thinking Ralph Mouth. My fault.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like she'd be like, Potsy was like moderately, not as cool as Fonzie, obviously, but like moderately cool. Yeah. That's what Candice needs to be.
Rhea Ripley is Joe, and Candice LeRae is Blair.
I was not sure who the second name was going to be.
I wasn't
Joe.
sure either. I think maybe Tootie or Natalie might be the ones to go with on the Facts of Life. I just couldn't think of anyone because there's no way Candice LeRae is Blair.
I'm glad we hit that Facts of Life demo. Big section of our audience here.
Look, I just hit the Happy Days demo, which is over 50.
Yeah, no, hey, like we tapped that button, baby.
You're doing
we press them all. We're this is an inclusive show. We're roping them all in, baby.
I'm sorry, the guy doing the All in the Family podcast is talking to me about ageist references. Kiss my ass.
The guy who is doing the All in the Family podcast might be a little bit more with the times than you might realize.
Oh yeah, All in the Family. Really timely
references. Because the show is about the TV show. That's what's going on. All right, so up next, Cameron Grimes. Hawkins doesn't get my work. Cameron Grimes does a vignette. This was fun. What I liked about the Cameron Grimes thing is sort of teases a little bit that he is gonna maybe be a babyface and he's reconsidered how he's been a dick, and he's like, no, I'm gonna keep being a dick. I'm Cameron Grimes. I liked it.
I actually missed this. I feel kind of bad. I guess I was fast.
This was fun. No, there's like kind of the music change to it. Starts off a little reflective of I worked my way up from being a Southern boy, wrestling's in my blood, that kind of thing. And I've been a little unscrupulous to get ahead or whatever. And then he's like, well, I'm gonna keep on doing that. And talks about caving in everybody and how he's a hot dog. And it was a good promo. I enjoyed it.
He does cocky heel real well.
Yeah, he does. No, I think this is a good character for him. I think what I was thinking about coming out of this promo, though, is that given the lay of the land with the Undisputeds, it probably makes more sense if you want to get Grimes in the action to have him at least for right now working as the disingenuous I'm a changed man babyface character. And I think they maybe turned the corner on this a little too soon. I would have done changed man Cameron Grimes for about a month and then had him stab someone in the back to get a title shot or something like that. But that's neither here nor there. Up next, this is a really fun match. Lio Rush versus Akira Tozawa. I liked this match a lot.
I like this a lot. I want these 205 Live guys who were put on the main roster just get put on the NXT roster. Because
Lio Rush is really, really good. Also worth
Akira
noting here.
Tozawa is really, really good as well.
Also true.
This was better. This was better than the three-way with Kalisto on the pre-show because they did a brand versus brand versus brand.
Oh yeah, no, this is way better than the three-way in the pre-show. No, this is awesome. This is a premier quality star level title match. This is a great match. Lio Rush continues to just kill it on these TV shows, bringing the fans really good matches you can sink your teeth into.
He kills it on the TV matches. We're still just not sure if he's a pure babyface or if he's one of those baby faces with a little bit of a heel underneath in him that's going to come out at any time now. It's just...
Yeah, I know. It's a little too cute. I feel like he's a babyface, but no, it's also tricky. What is the man of the hour gimmick? Is he a family man? Is he a swagger man? I don't know. It's a bit confusing. I'll give you that. Xia Li defeats Vanessa Bourne extremely quickly. I actually kind of liked the whole, here comes Shayna Baszler with fight and play, so I'm just going to finish off Vanessa Bourne. We'll get to the fight and play standoff, and then after that, out comes Moral Authority, Rhea Ripley. See, this to me should have been a Candice LeRae spot, or maybe Candice with Rhea Ripley, that sort of thing.
I'll get to that in a second. We are at the end of Smackdown right now.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan has done the yes chant about, I guess, a rematch with the Fiend. The Fiend has come out in the in the Butcher and the Blade spot of the ring to now drag Daniel Bryan down to hell, which he is doing. Daniel Bryan's trying to fight out of it. I don't see Allie anywhere, so I don't think the bunny's involved.
He's going to be trapped in the funhouse.
He has grabbed pieces of Daniel Bryan's hair or beard. So I think Daniel Bryan is going to come back clean shaven of some variety. And we are still fighting in the Butcher and the Blade platform / Kane platform, while the Fiend is grabbing just tons of Daniel Bryan's hair, it looks like. So I'm guessing Brie wanted Daniel to get a haircut. Shave the beard or whatever. Chris, as a man with facial hair, how do you feel about this?
I go in between. I was doing a mustache thing about 4 months ago. I'm not doing it presently, but when you are dating with a lady, they do not love the mustache. It is my experience. They don't see the charm in it that I see. They don't think it's a fun way to spice up your day. They find it to be a hindrance when they want to make out and that sort of thing.
So there was no new puppet. Vanessa Bourne and Xia Li and Fight and Play and
Rhea Ripley.
What are we going to do with Vanessa Bourne? She's been on this roster for 4 years, maybe 3.
She should be managing people. Like
I dug the Kona Reeves pairing. I thought that was pretty good.
I did too. I thought that was good. I think that she makes sense as a manager type, a particularly delusional one, or someone who uses a little bit of their charm and allure to like get what they want and leverage stuff, a bit like Ginny does to a certain extent.
Does she have any main roster play at all? I don't know with this gimmick in terms of it's way too.
I can actually see
sex
standards and practices not loving this gimmick. Actually,
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't.
I know they've been going with the Rusev thing, so maybe I'm overthinking it. But like, this is a pretty overt.
This is what Scarlett Bordeaux's going to be, in my opinion. So I mean,
that's going to be the other problem for Vanessa Bourne. Maybe actually she pairs well with Scarlett Bordeaux. Maybe they actually make an okay tag team.
She's the mother in the house of ill repute. She's starting to age out of this gimmick a little.
No, there's a burlesque show quality to it that I don't know. I don't know who the gimmick's for, to be honest.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's
for Nigel, obviously, because Nigel's the one who's
I mean, I was about to say, other than for people in the back, but I don't know that there's a natural audience in the house.
Nigel being the wolf in the Tex Avery cartoon when you see Little Red Riding Hood on the stage. Oh my God. Thank you. Another arcane reference.
I enjoy the old style animation. I think that's fun.
Shayna coming out and giving Xia Li a beating is interesting. So does Xia Li fight and play now? Or is this just kind of a forgotten
that
thing?
makes more sense. She fights, fight and play, loses to Shayna, a la, what's his name?
Dakota Kai, a la everybody.
The other guy from China, who was in an angle really similar to this with Killian Dane a couple weeks ago. What's his name? Does kicks, martial arts.
Boa?
Boa.
Okay. Yeah.
I know.
Who's in the hospital?
I think the angle ends up being kind of similar to the angle that they do with Boa.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, she's got great kicks, and she's really improved, especially in the WWE universe. I'm hoping.
Right. And so I think it's a nice little transitional enhancement match for Shayna. You got to build her up by having her dismantle either fight or play in like kind of swift fashion, and then she kicks Shayna Baszler around for a minute, and then gets caught in the Terrafuda clutch and loses in a few weeks.
My dream, now that Lance Storm has officially closed his school and he's heading to be a producer somewhere, I don't know where yet. I'm hoping he becomes a trainer at NXT, and I'm hoping he and Xia Li hook up for some, for like some real tutoring there, because I think Xia Li is intensely talented and could really go for just some pure wrestling training as opposed to drills from Lance Storm. I do. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually think Lance could potentially be a fun manager type character on screen as well.
I don't want him on screen. I really don't. I think his role as trainer is fine. I'm fine.
Well, I mean, I think he can do both. I don't really see what precludes him from doing both. I don't see how him occasionally working as a manager, even for someone like Xia Li, or for people who maybe would benefit from having English as a first language mouthpiece. I don't see why that would preclude him from being a quality trainer as well.
I got two managers they're not doing anything with already down there.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Malcolm Bivens is sitting out there and also actually trying to manage Xia Li and trying to make that angle happen on social media. A fair point. Then we get to our main event here of Finn Balor versus Tommaso Ciampa. Finn Balor gets the win after Adam Cole comes down, runs interference. Now, if I were writing this show on the fly and Bobby Fish had gotten injured earlier in the night, I would have completely changed the finish to this show and had Finn Balor join the Undisputed Era. Instead, they chose to go with, I think, they want to do a three-way match between Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa, and Finn Balor, and they want Finn Balor to be some sort of weird tweener character, which does not really jibe with any of the promos that he has been cutting since he's been back down in NXT, which have been straight heel promos. If you want him to be a heel, have him be a heel. If you want him to get back together with the club, have him get back together with the club. If you want him to start a new club or join another club like the Undisputed Era, have him do this. This lone wolf Finn Balor thing, all it does is suck up air from people like Tommaso Ciampa who need that extra bandwidth.
I don't mind three-way matches, but I feel like they have to come together a little bit more organically. And I'm kind of with you here. I like Finn Balor a lot.
They have not earned this tweener status with Finn Balor at all.
No, they haven't. They haven't earned the tweener status. They haven't earned him in the main event picture other than him existing. And part of that's due to Johnny Gargano not being around because he got injured on that 16... Is it 1619 or 1612? I'm mixing it up with my years
it's
here.
1916.
1916. Thank you. Too many dates in my head. Yeah, I just, it's one of those things where it feels like he's going to build a faction and we're going to have faction warfare, but we just got through War Games, so do we need faction warfare right now? We have, Imperium still out there too, so does this need to be Vince Russo doing the Nation versus the biker gang versus the Bariquas versus all that? And you know what?
No, but if you told me that Finn Balor was going and joining up with Gallus, I actually wouldn't hate that.
But the other alternative is then Stone Cold Finn Balor, which is what this is feeling like quite a bit. Because it's like, first he was pure heel when he did the turn on Gargano, and now he's turning on heels to baby himself a bit.
The whole trick, though, with Stone Cold was that he was a heel who would sometimes help out the babyface. And it was like weird because you just like help out the babyface.
And then he'd stun him, yeah.
Yeah, and then he would also stun the babyface, too.
But to do this right, you have to have 3 sets of 2 versus all 3 out there at the same time, in my opinion. I think you need to build the feud between Cole and Balor before you just have him go out there. I mean, I guess this might be the opening for that. Maybe I'm talking myself into it. It's just one of those things where it's like, in ECW, when they were kind of doing this, you had the 3 different feuds and they all kind of coalesce into that one. Well, we need to do a 3-way dance here. Here it feels very, very forced. I think that's the main thing I get from it. But it's probably too early to tell whether or not they build on this the next 6 weeks or not. I think they do, but it's going to be very hard when you get to that part where Cole needs to get revenge on Finn Balor and to get any kind of shine for Finn Balor about, given that he took out Johnny Gargano and he attacked Tommaso Ciampa. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, I completely agree. Any other things you want to hit before we shimmy out of here?
No, not a lot of news coming out. I think as we get into December, and especially for those episodes between TLC and the new year, should we decide to go into the new year, it's still on the table. We should probably have a call for
support questions. The Patreon, kids.
Well, we gotta support the Patreon too.
But
maybe
subs,
a call. Maybe
engagement is a good thing.
Yes, maybe a call for at least one Ask Us Anything type of show to fill time. because, the holidays are just doing stupid things like, Miracle on 34th Street matches and Santa sketches and all those other things. To pass the time, we do one of those. Maybe we do some flashbacks.
Yeah, we definitely don't do like the last week of December. So, I mean,
any kind of suggestions you can give us, please do. Next couple weeks may be a bit weird too because I'm gonna be traveling for work. That second week of December, so we'll see what happens. Anyways, you can follow me at CrapGame13. You can follow the show at Shake Them Ropes. You can follow Chris at Chris Novembrino. Chris does a variety of other podcasts and edits them all. Here's what they are.
Yeah, so after the show here, make sure you stay tuned for Edit Talk. That will be on. As I said, I'm going to discuss how to make your jokes funnier by taking clips of your friends' laughter and using them strategically. My other show is Don't Worry About the Government, which you can listen to after the new episode of Edit Talk after this show over at don'tworry.tv, also available where fine podcasts can be found on iTunes and on Stitcher. My other show is called The All in the Family Podcast, available at theallinthefamilypodcast.com and also on iTunes and on Stitcher. So, on the other side of this music, another episode of Edit Talk. I'd say the best part about editing is looking out and seeing the smile on children's faces. Christopher Novembrino. Oh yes, I think so much has been lost in modern editing. I look back to the real pioneers of editing from the 60s and 70s, back when people had to edit with their hands. And it's something that's lost in the craft today.
Yeah, I'm calling in because you say you've edited hundreds of these shows, but they're all kind of lousy still, so what's up with that? Are you an idiot?
Caller, hey, stop talking for a second. Are you listening up? I'm not the idiot, you're the idiot.
I disagree, I think you are.
All I did was get one little end of one sound wave wrong, and it didn't line up with the other thing, and then everyone's telling me I'm not any good at this.